Hi everyone, we thought we'd come on because there's a lot of newbies don't really know me, and so I've just come up with the idea that Kris is with us. Say hi, Kris.
Hello everyone.
And Kris is going to interview me, aren't you, darling?
Yes, I am.
And it could be good, it could be bad, it could be both. Because I've given Kris free rein of any questions that she wishes to ask me. So, when you're ready, Kris, go for it, darling.
Okay, so what was your favorite thing when you were a child?
My favourite thing when I was a child was watching my dad paint.
Okay.
I used to stand, had a little shed, and he used to have all his artwork. He had his tools in there, but he had all his artwork in there with his easel. And he would sit and paint old masters, reproductions. And I was fascinated that he got them to look nearly, almost identical. So that was my favourite thing growing up. I didn't go out playing with other kids. Not many times.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was my favourite thing growing up.
So what was your first thing that you ever made when you were crafting as a child? What was the first thing?
My mother taught me to knit.
Oh, so your first crafting was knitting?
My first crafting was knitting and crocheting, but I was crocheting by the age of 5, but I was knitting when I'd just turned 3.5 when I first, and she did 6 stitches on a needle, on a little pair of kiddies' needles for me. And I dropped every stitch just about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but we were all taught from a very, very early age.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I mean, I liked it.
What was your favorite thing about your grandma?
Oh, my grandma.
Yes.
She was an amazing woman. She very witty. I think I get my sense of humour from her. She had a fantastic sense of humour.
Yeah.
The stories were just fantastic. The stories she would tell that I passed on to my grandchildren, and they even now want me to sit and tell them about Gigi. That's what she was called, great grandma. So it's Gigi.
Yeah.
And she lived till she was 104.
Wow.
She died in 2000 and what was it? 8. No, sorry. She died in 2004. She was 104. She was born in 1901.
Wow.
Yeah, and she was just an amazing woman. I just loved the way she did everything. She was very crafty, though. When I say crafty, not in the crafting sense. She was hopeless at crafting.
Yeah.
When I say hopeless, she did used to make flowers, and she'd, do a little bit of knitting, but she would rather alter some things, and I think altering in me came from her.
Yeah.
And do you want a quick story?
Yes.
She was so funny. My granddad always called her Issa. Her name was Eva, but he always said Issa, E-S-A. And she used to call him Ted. He was Edward. And just can't forget this at all. It's so funny. And I was in the living room. I was on holiday with him. I was in the living room, and she says, Ted, I could do with a new pair of shoes, honey. And he went, oh, Issa. Because that's how they used to talk to each other. He went, oh, yeah. Issa. Oh, here, darling. And he gave her a £5 note.
Right.
Which was a lot of money back then. And he says, you go down the shops, dear. Take your time. Take Fiona with you. And you buy yourself a new pair of shoes. And she buggered off upstairs. She came down, she had a coat and hat and everything, and we went downtown. We come back. I never saw her buy a pair of shoes. I saw her look at them, but I never saw her buy any. She went back upstairs. I sat with my granddad. She come down and she held these shoes out. And he knew what she'd done. And he says, oh, Issa, they're gorgeous, them. He says, did it cost you all of £5? And she went, oh, Ted, she says, I had to put £1 towards them. Do you know what she'd done? She'd gone upstairs, and one of her handmade flowers she'd put on the front of them and brought them down and said she'd bought a new pair. she'd altered them by gluing, by sticking a flower on.
Oh, jeez.
And he just used to laugh. And he said to me, he says, so there was no change then, he said. She'd pocket the £5. Oh, no, Ted, I had to put £1 towards them. That was just one of my favourite memories of her. There were lots of them.
So, and you have how many kids?
I've got 3 children. I have 2 boys and a girl. But I've got 5 sisters and 2 brothers.
Yes. And how many grandchildren?
I have 2 grandsons and 2 granddaughters. And Jamie and...
something they don't know about you is, when did you start fossiling?
Oh, fossiling. Oh, my God. Well, we've been here... well, I've always been interested in that sort of thing. But serious, when I became a fossiler, and I used to buy and sell fossils...
Yes.
What's 12 years off now? What are we into? 13? So it's about 2001.
Okay.
I became a proper fossil dealer.
Wow.
And I mixed with the big
So
boys.
now, where's all the fossils that you've collected?
Right, I do have some left in the house. I've got one very special fossil that it's amazing. I'll show it. One night I will bring it on and I will show it. It's quite heavy, and I will show that. But I sold last year most of my collection.
Yeah.
Yeah, my private...
You don't do it anymore, do you?
I can't do it anymore. I kept the ones that I wanted to keep, that I like the best, and we sold everything, all the equipment, the lot, because we just couldn't do it anymore. We can't get up and down the mountains like we used to do, and, down the cliffs. And it was pointless hanging on to stuff that we weren't going to do. And with my hands, holding the prepping tools and that I used to... We used to pick the fossils up, bring them home and prep them. I can't. It vibrates in the hand as the machine. And I can't do it. So it was just pointless. Them all sat there. And I had a friend who lives in Sheffield, my friend Mick. He came over with a friend and he bought the lot.
Good.
He came over twice. He bought those out the shed the first time. And the second time I let the ones out the house go that I didn't want anymore.
Right. So now... What is your first craft was knitting, and then crocheting, and then
needlepoint. My mother taught me how to sew, hand sew, embroider. She used to embroider. Fantastic embroiderer and flower arranger.
Oh, a flower arranger.
My mother was, yeah.
Wow, so you didn't pick that up though.
Thanks very much. Okay, yeah, I do arrange flowers, and I think when I'm doing things on projects, I arrange flowers as well, Kris.
I meant real flowers.
I only do them if somebody buys me flowers. I will arrange them nicely, like my mother taught me how to do them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Then what? What was your next craft? What was your next...
Well, I learned how to paint from a very, very early age. I was about 5 or 6 when my father taught me... Well, when I say taught me, he would teach me what not to do.
Oh, okay.
And that was don't follow any rules.
Right, you've said that before.
I have. My dad never, ever... He never went to art school, ever.
Yeah.
And you've seen his pictures. They're on. If anybody wants to know, there's a video of my dad's pictures. And he never went to art school. He was self-taught, like I was.
Yes.
And I picked up things that he did and the way he did them, which an artist person, a genuine artist person would say, oh, you can't do that, you can't do that. Well, we did. You know what I mean? My dad did and I did. And but I taught my dad watercolours. He used to do oils. I was watercolours, acrylics and oils.
And then when did you start doing your spray painting projects?
Well, the spray painting came across about 3 years ago.
Ah, okay. Okay.
So it wasn't that, I spent about...
No, it had to be longer than that because we've known each other 4 years.
Oh, is it 4 years?
Doing the spray painting before.
Jesus, yeah.
Each other.
It's going to be 5 years then.
Has to be.
It's got to be 5 years. I thought it was only 3 years. It's nearly 4, isn't it? Yeah, so time flies. Yeah, it's about 5 years. I spent about 240 hours studying spray painting online.
Okay.
And I did a picture, the beach scene.
Yes, beautiful.
And I sent that in to the guy who actually did the picture in the first place, because he said if anybody, he put the tutorial online to teachers, and I went and did it, and I sent a photograph off to him, and he asked me how long I'd been spray painting, and I said then that was the first picture I'd ever done.
Yeah.
And he said,
but now,
he couldn't believe me.
You have them online and you have them on Pinterest. So if anybody's interested in seeing them, they're on Pinterest.
Yeah.
And they're on your YouTube. You just have to look up spray painting, don't you?
Yeah, if you look up spray painting space Jennings644, you will find them on YouTube. But you're better off going to Pinterest and look up freestyle crafts. And then when you get to... I've got a link on my homepage on YouTube, and it's in the top corner, right-hand corner. If you go onto that, go onto Pinterest, everything I do is categorised. It's the easiest way to find it. But regarding, I was saying, the spray painting, the guy couldn't believe that that was my very first painting. He thought I'd been doing it for years.
But see, you're talented in... many different stages of,
Well, that's down to my parents. My mother was a flower arranger. She did oil paints, but she did them painting by numbers. That's the way she could do hers. And she was very arty with, like, needlework, knitting, sewing, crocheting, tapestry. She did all of that. And I learned all of mine from her. And then my father was always good with wood, so he used to do veneering, which he taught me how to veneer. French polishing, I was the only one in the family that learnt how to French polish.
Now, what's French polish?
Well, when you get a proper wood furniture and it's got a sheen to it.
Right, yes.
Well, to do it, you've got to, you put your, sand it all down properly, and you have to do different, strengths of sandpaper. And then what you do is you do it layer by layer. You do one layer, you put your varnish on, you take that off, you do it again. You keep repeating it and repeating it and repeating it until it's like glass.
Oh, okay.
And my father was a top quality French polish guy, as well as a joiner.
And okay, so what's a joiner?
Well, it's a joiner. Well, he used to go down London and do all the banks. All the old banks with the old-fashioned, like the 1800 banks.
Yes.
Where it was all dark wood and everything. If there was anything problems with them, my father was one of the well-known guys in the country that used to be... They used to call him to get him down there to put it back as it was in them days.
Okay, so restoring.
He did. He restored an awful lot. And there's a story here, and this is no lie. We've got Castle Howard is one of the big homes here in Yorkshire, and the dome collapsed years ago. The dome collapsed in. Now, when you look at Castle Howard, it's got like a greenish type dome on it.
Right.
My dad was the man who did that. He was a manager. He was a foreman there, and he had a gang of 6 workers that went and redid the whole dome, and put it back as it was.
Wow.
He was well known for his woodwork.
Does any of your sisters or brothers craft?
My eldest sister Linda, she does knitting and crochet. I think she does crocheting. I can't remember. Well, we all used to do it, but she's a knitter. My brothers knit.
Wow, they did.
My youngest brother, who's a year older than me, he still does. He's a left-handed knitter, and he's one of the neatest knitters I've seen in my life.
Wow.
My sisters all knit, most of it. Well, not Joanne and Alison, the youngest two. They don't do anything. But my older sisters do. They knit.
Yeah. But none of them do anything but that?
No.
No?
No.
So, when did you start doing jewelry?
As long as I can remember. I know, I can't tell you. I've been doing it since I was a kid. I used to make jewellery.
Right.
Yeah.
And what got you into taking apart jewelry?
Because I wanted to borrow something from one thing to another. I had something on a necklace that I wanted to take off. And I thought, well, if I take it off there, I can put it on there, it'll look better. And I took it apart. And that was it.
So that was it. That started it, and then you went from there.
I got hooked.
You got hooked.
And now you've seen some of the jewellery sets that, the way it's all been mashed together and everything that we've brought back.
Yes.
And it's been dismantled within the hour. Completely dismantled.
I know.
Yeah,
you can dismantle something in minutes, or it would take me hours.
Yeah, I'm quite prolific in dismantling jewellery now.
Yeah, and it's funny because you were saying today that I was anal. And you are anal in many areas of your crafting. Yes, you are.
Well, I look at it like this. We're here on Earth for a very short time.
Yes.
And I'm not a couch potato.
No.
I very, very rarely see TV.
Exactly.
If I'm crafting on my own and nobody else is about, then I'll put the computer on and watch things there while I'm crafting. That's how I keep up to date with news and things like that. But I seethe when I see people wasting their hours away.
Yes.
It does me head in.
Like me.
Yeah, like you. Well, I'm honest. No.
Me too, I know it.
No, but I just think, well, we're here for such a short period. Do something. I don't know what it is. I'm not a time waster. I can't waste time.
No, you don't. You never waste time.
Never.
When we're talking or visiting on Skype like now, you are always doing something. You never are just sitting there talking to me.
Well, I am now because I'm not doing anything at all. I'm actually talking to you because you're interviewing me.
That's only because we're having an interview.
Yeah.
But if we're just chatting,
my hands have got to be busy.
You never stop crafting.
Yeah, I know. They've got to be busy. And you know what? I can do all of the needlework and all the painting and, and altering and whatever. And out of everything, I am so grateful for my parents.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, sadly, they're not here. But they taught me so much. But I've learnt so much myself.
Yes.
Because I will...
And you have taught so much. For, like me, I would have never done the alterations and flowers and, boxes or cards or tags. I wouldn't have done any of that. The only thing I did when we met was scrapbook.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've learned a lot from what you teach on YouTube. I mean, I watched you for probably a year before we talked.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, well, I'm hoping now that I'm here for a long time, but if by any chance my time comes, I'm hoping that the legacy I've left behind,
yes,
because of the variety,
yeah,
I'm hoping that I've left a very good legacy for
you have, definitely.
For everyone.
You have almost 3,000 videos.
Yeah, yeah, and I've enjoyed it. We've had a few.
What do you enjoy most about YouTube?
Giving.
Huh?
Sharing, giving.
Yes.
Sharing what I know, because I think it's vital. I know people keep saying, oh, we're in the new age and blah, blah, blah. But I look at it like this. If for any reason, and nobody knows what's round the next corner, nobody.
No.
But if for any reason something happens and the power goes out, millions are stuffed.
Yeah.
Millions are stuffed. Because the best power tool that they've got are their hands.
Yes.
Your eyesight's second. Because you can do things blindfolded.
Yes, you can.
But this is your tool of power, your hands. And without them being able to do something, you're stuffed. Simple as. And that's why I'm grateful that I know so many different things to do, and I've been able to pass that on.
So with this video on the comments, if anybody has any questions that we haven't talked about, please comment and ask you.
Yeah, if anybody wants to ask me a question, ask away on the comments on this video, and I will come back tomorrow night and we'll answer them. Do you know one of the most calming things that I do? The miniatures.
Oh yeah. Now see, that's something that I've never. My goodness, do you hear that? I've never tried to do miniatures. Hold on. I've never tried to do miniatures.
I love doing them.
I know, you do them really well.
Absolutely love miniatures.
So when did you start miniatures?
Oh God. Oh, I was about. Let me see. I took a liking to him when I was about 12, and my dad had made me a miniature studio with a rolling camera and all TV and all that there.
So when you were 12?
Yeah, you'll have to come nearer, Kris. You can't hear you.
Hold on a minute. Gotta change the water.
Yeah, but it's making me want to pee. Hang on. She's just gone to change the water. And that's not me weeing in the background. That's the noise of her fountain. I'll just carry on talking because she's gone.
Carry on.
Hey? Yeah, miniatures. My father made me a miniature one. He made one of my brothers a miniature fort. And I got the studio that I always wanted, and I absolutely loved it. Played with it for hours, had it for years, and I don't even know what happened to it. But I used to make things out of clay and wood and bits and things like that. So yeah, the interest has been there since I was 12 for miniatures. Yeah, definitely. And it's one of the most calming things if I'm stressed. Start a miniature. I find it very calming, therapeutic. You can't do an interview and bugger off, you know.
I'm sorry, I just had to change the sprinkler, or it will be too wet, and I don't want to be by the fountain because it will make everybody want to go potty.
Like we've all just been in the toilet. Right, we've got about 5-6 minutes left, so fire away.
So, let's see. What do you think is the hardest thing that you've ever learned in crafting?
The hardest thing? Hardest thing? Well, do you know what? Portraits.
Portraits?
Portraits. I have a huge problem with doing portraits. I can get the nose. If I just do a nose, I can get it right.
Right.
If I just do eyes, I can get them right. If I just do a mouth, I can get it right. But if I have to put that together in a face, I get it wrong.
No, you don't. You may have beautiful paintings of portraits.
No, I don't know. But that you said what was the hardest thing. That was the hardest thing for me to learn.
To learn. Okay, I get it. So, what was the funnest out of the last, since you've known me 4 years, what's the funnest thing that you've learned?
The funniest thing that I've learned?
No, the funnest.
Yeah, what do you mean, the funniest?
No, like the funnest, the most enjoyable that you've just learned, just started doing in the last 4 years?
In the last 4 years?
Yes.
The shabby chic. Because, I mean, I've always done...
Yeah.
I've done things, but I used to shy away from shabby chic because I thought mine was always shabby shit.
And it's not.
Yeah,
it's not at all.
Well, you see, you see, my own opinion about my own work, even though I teach it to other people, I teach techniques, basically. I don't I don't teach somebody anything else. I teach them techniques, and it's what they do with that technique that's, you get the great outcome. With me, it don't matter what technique I know, I still think whatever I make is crap.
Yeah, and you judge it really hard when we all love it, and especially like when I give you don't take compliments that well.
No.
Because you judge your stuff really hard.
Yeah, because I've got high standards in my artwork, and that's through my dad, because my dad would spend hour upon hour upon hour until he got it right.
Right.
And he would say, it doesn't matter how he did it, it didn't matter the technique, whether it was the right technique or not, because he usually did the wrong technique, but he got the right result. Because he never followed a rule book. And I'm like that. And if I can't get it right, I will strip it and redo it, until I get it right. I don't like my work, I never have.
But you enjoy it so much.
I do. I mean, I turn around like, I'm just got this in front of me. The Y from yesterday. I mean, I like that, but I know I can do better.
It's gorgeous.
I know, but I know I can do better. And my biggest downfall, I have to say, before we finish, we've got time yet, my biggest downfall is that I don't have, I know people think I have, but I haven't, I don't have the right equipment to craft with, because I won't go paying a fortune for it.
No, you don't.
So, I mean, if I had all the laces in the world and all the flowers in the world, I would be in heaven. If I had all the trimmings in the world and, the flat back pearls. Definitely. If I had what some people I've seen, I would be in my element, and I could craft and craft and craft, and I would have amazing things. I'd probably be happy with my work. But because most of my stuff is handmade, I'm not happy with it. But I won't buy it. Very little.
Yeah.
I begrudge lining somebody else's pocket.
Yeah.
Because I can't stand rip-off merchants. I can't stand them. I hate them. And being able to buy wholesale now, I know what people are paying. And I know what they're charging. And I think, you rip-off piece of crap.
Yeah.
Sorry, but I do. I'm honest,
No, I know. And you are very, very good about your prices because you want to be fair. Always.
Well, I've always been fair. My dad was fair, and it all comes from my dad. I mean, my mother used to sell a flower arranging. She'd do a flower arrangement and sell it. And many a time she'd give it away rather than sell it, just to see a smile on somebody's face. Now, my dad had to replace his equipment and his tools, wear and tear and whatever. And he would charge, but he would charge a quarter of what he